Big U, the Crip leader turned gang interventionist who ran mafia-like enterprises, according to the feds.
Sweeties! Sweeties, Pop-Tarts! It was all real. Big U really was extorting people. They've been indicted. The Rollin 60s and Luce Cannon and Bricc Baby are in custody. And you know I don't make stuff up. It's in the LA Times. I'm sure it's all over the internet. Sweeties! Extortion, murder. So in 2021, the investigation into the Big U enterprise began. There was a rapper, Rayshawn Williams, not sure what his rap name was. They booked. That's why you better be careful who you take money from. That's why I never let nobody invest in me other than upstanding citizens. They rent him an Airbnb and some, I guess it had a studio in it, or there was a studio out in Vegas. The kid, he's 21. The kid ain't going, he missing his sessions and all that. So Big U and them roll out there. And the kid has a rap lyric about the big bro who's getting dough. You get, if I think shit is sweet, I'll get killed with a revolver with no shells. So of course he gets found the next day in the desert in Las Vegas. A revolver had done it and all the shells had been picked up. Eerie, he made a rap. The way he described his own homicide in the rap song is the way he in fact was taken out. Like he knew it was coming. And so the footage, the surveillance footage from the... So Rayshawn Williams and Big U had a meeting in the studio that night. The footage is gone. So it probably the police are saying, or law enforcement is saying, the feds are saying that would show... This is a federal indictment too. It's Las Vegas, LA. Feds are saying it showed them fighting and possibly he either executed them there or took them out of the desert and they dumped them in the desert. So that's when the investigation began. Luce Cannon, sweeties, he is indicted for extortion, robbery, all that stuff that him being on Big U's crew impressing people is real, according to the feds. Bricc Baby as well. Wow, Bricc Baby is probably going through some heavy withdrawals right now. And I'm not even being funny, like for real. Okay, so for those of you that don't know the background of Mr. Henley, aka Big U, in the 80s, he worked his way up to be this infamous Rollin 60. I saw a picture of some graffiti from the 80s. It didn't say Rollin 60s killer. It said Big U killer. I think the brims or somebody painted it. He got into dealing of the dope. And in 1991, him and a partner named Wagner were going to buy like 25 bricks. But Big U wanted to make it a stick-up, but it was the police. So the other guy got 32 years. Big U ended up getting 13 years. He gets out in 2004. He's managing Corrupt. Corrupt introduces him to Suge Knight, who kind of gives him some music industry plugs, a little money or whatever. And then, of course, he gets Nipsey Hussle.
Announcement from federal authorities about the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips gang in South LA. Detectives have arrested multiple people, and this morning they're still looking for others.
Eugene Henley, now considered a wanted fugitive. In the past, he's produced TV series. He has nearly 300,000 followers on Instagram, and he ran this charity. The feds say the charity received donations from celebrities, even government agencies, for what was described as charitable work. But the feds say he was still very involved in a much larger crime ring, and it wasn't just Henley that they're looking for. They've already made several arrests in connection with his alleged crimes. 4 people named in the criminal complaint are already in custody. The details of the alleged crimes were just released in dozens of pages of court documents that we are about to go through here. But the big headline right now is that Eugene Henley, a longtime self-proclaimed community activist, is now a fugitive. The FBI, among other agencies, looking for him and several other people involved in a much wider ranging crime ring. We'll have details much later today on the NBC4 News beginning at 3 o'clock. But for now, reporting live, I'm Alex Rozier, NBC4 News.
Alex, thank you very much for that update. We're looking forward to it. All right, so let's go to NBC4's Michelle Vaya. She's live at the federal building in Westwood where the defendants will be processed. Michelle.
That's right. Annabelle, good morning. Right behind me, we have FBI agents and members of the Department of Justice here. This is where some of the gang members from the Crips were brought to be processed. We just saw likely one of them being driven away, who will likely be in court this afternoon. This is a big day. This is where they're processed. Many of them still need to be processed to face those federal charges. A big day, but big agents need the Big Get, a.k.a. Big U, Eugene Henley, now a fugitive. They think he's somewhere in Southern California, a self-proclaimed philanthropist and ringleader of the Rollin 60s Crip gang. Here's more on the arrest from Special Agent in charge.
4 of the 19 defendants were already in custody, and 10 defendants were taken into custody in the last 24 hours. And while we're still seeking the whereabouts of 5 individuals, 3 of whom we believe we will have in custody shortly, 2 defendants are considered fugitives. They are Eugene Henley Jr., also known as Big U, and Brian Mejia.
So there's a big incident is with a boxer with the initials AB. Is that Adrian Broner, or is it just the feds using those initials? I don't know, so I'm not going to say it's Adrian Broner, but with the initials AB that was running, listen to this. So I tell you, so much stupid shit goes on in LA, like crazy, just for young people with too much money. The boxer, AB, whoever it is, was doing a dice game with crooked dice. They hit a bunch of NBA players for millions. So the NBA players tell Big U. Big U goes up there with some Rollin 60s, slaps them up. So first of all, you can't have a dice game in LA without my permission, and I know you cheat, give these guys their money back. So he got the millions back, charged the basketball players $100,000 each. There was a dispensary in somewhere, I guess, in the Rollin 60s turf, paid $25,000 a month in extortion fees. As soon as the guys stopped paying, I think Luce and a bunch of other guys ran up in there. They weren't even wearing masks and just took everything. And Big U invited the guy to his house later that day and said, oh, see, I got your stuff because you didn't pay. Sweeties! It's so real. Wow, this is unbelievable. I really didn't think. Okay, and he's being charged with defrauding the government. He's received $2.3 million in funds from the city, state, and county for the GRID program. So if you think Big U was snitching, he was the opposite of snitching. Now, I wonder, Luce Cannon obviously had went rogue on Big U for some time and had been talking bad about him. Will Luce Cannon cut a deal? This is a RICA. This is bad. This is what the feds, people are in trouble. And then here's the thing. As soon as you make yourself the member of a gang, you like double all your sentences. Oh, you were going to get 5? Well, now you're going to get 10. It changes the dynamics. Somebody's playing get down first. Bricc baby just sat in the county jail for like 3 or 4 years. Now he's back. They're in that federal lockup this time. Gangland for real. Man, feel bad for, I don't know, maybe they deserve it. I'm going to say I feel bad, but like, it's a bad feeling. Especially you're living comfortable and you go down to the jail in the big city. It's so, it's a bad feeling. So what else? Big U. So the homicide of Rayshawn Williams for disrespecting Big U by not using his studio time and maybe talking a little shit. That's crazy. But here's the thing. If that homicide occurred just the way that guy described it, sounds like that's Big U's MO. I'm sure they're looking for more homicides to put on Big U as part of the big 60s, Rollin 60s extortion thing. And of course, this opens the floodgates to Nipsey Hussle. I was one of those people that was saying, because I don't like to engage in gossip. I always say, if so-and-so was doing all this, then if we all know it on the internet, the police would too, he'd be indicted. Well, they've indicted Big U. He's facing 20 years for the racketeering and life for the murder. Some other Rollin 60s you might have heard of, Big Bear Claw, I guess the old school guy. That's one of his right-hand man. He's part of it. Bricc Baby and Sweetie, Luce Cannon. So, wow. So now that there's that guy, Little Rod Zay, who people are telling me, oh, I don't believe Luce Cannon and Little Rod Zay, but Little Rod Zay spun the whole tale about Nipsey and Big U having a fight, and that leading. I mean, if Big U took out this 21-year-old kid, this rapper who he had coached, and mind you, Big U's son is a football player for the San Diego Chargers. He don't need the money. If he took out this 21-year-old kid for disrespecting him by not using up all the studio hours he was supposed to, be careful who you let do stuff for you. What would he, I mean, now it sounds very plausible that he has something to do with Nipsey Hussle. Now, the only thing I have with the Nipsey Hussle conspiracy, why, when you're like, what is Eric Holder, why is Eric Holder not, well, some people don't snitch, I guess. I was told Eric Holder is real crazy, that he had did some other stuff, and that's why they ran him out of the neighborhood. Not snitching, that he had did some inappropriate violence, and basically they had to get rid of him, or a bunch of other gangs was going to be on them. In most cities, like, people are in gangs to make money, I guess. The LA gangs are like, it's like a union of the dangerous people. I mean, there's a lot of people in gangs, a lot of them aren't dangerous, but I mean, the you know, if you're a black male is into, you kill for money or something, you're probably in a gang, I guess. But so Big U created this web. So you got boxers cheating basketball players with rigged dice, extorting reefer dispensaries. That's not surprising. I mean, I don't even blame him for that. But all while he was doing this criminal stuff, I guess it's easy to think you're smarter than you are. Or, well, you can be very smart, but I always say, you can get away with all kind of stuff if no one's looking at you. Once they start looking at you, you really can't hide it, right? I mean, you are doing what you're doing. They waited, they've been 4 years, almost 4 years they've been working this, so they got it all together. So I wonder, has Luce Cannon been planning on, he's ready to, I'm not saying he's going to do this, it's just interesting he's been talking bad about Big U all this time. Big U even had a podcast called The Check-In. I guess you get comfortable doing what you're doing. Now, this has got to be a frightening thing for a lot of people in the music industry in LA, because, listen, you're going to know people that are in gangs in LA, and many of them are just black males that were born into neighborhoods with gangs. It's not their fault, and they're not on anything terrible, you know what I mean? Like, but there's a lot of, I guess, gang members that manage different people that are just in the music industry. And the thing about conspiracy and gangs, say I know a guy in a gang and he doesn't do anything illegal that I know of, and maybe he doesn't do it at all, but someone else in his gang that he talks to on the phone sometimes does some crazy stuff. Not very hard for a federal prosecutor to write it up in a way that not only puts my friend in a conspiracy, it can put me in one. Al Prophet lures rappers to LA. You know, conspiracy law is scary. So, you know, and also, though, that part of town, and I'm not saying this Big U's is or isn't guilty, but that Crenshaw, there's only two parts of LA that have a substantial lot of black people all in one place. It's the project areas in Watts, But even bigger than that in terms of people is that Crenshaw and Slauson, which is still that general area is like 70% black. That's the most concentration of black population in the whole state of California. And that's not a bad area. There is the gang, Rollin 60s, but there's Lemert Park, there's Ladera Heights, there's a lot of very nice areas around there. They're putting a subway line up through there that if you drove on Crenshaw now, like south of Slauson, you'd be like, oh, I mean, it's nice, big built up, it's very nice. They're probably clearing out whatever. Not saying they're framing them. I'm just saying they're clearing out. They're not going to let the Rollin 60s as a criminal, like, active gang of money makers and killer be. Because, you know, like Bricc Baby and a lot of those, they're from a part of the 60s called the Overhills. A lot of the Overhills produce a lot of the infamous 60s, including Big U. The Overhills is not just a nice neighborhood. The Overhills is beautiful. Overhills is a beautiful. You drive through the Overhills and you would never in a million years think, why would someone from over here be in a gang? But maybe some of them got the money to live there by crime. Like Bricc Baby's mother, I guess, was a big drug dealer, according to him. So if you grew up in a crime family, it really doesn't matter the neighborhood you grew up in. Bricc Baby, Luce Cannon. So, No Jumper's looking for a new host. Being in a gang is not a joke, because even if you ain't doing nothing, other people, now there's thousands of Rollin 60s and they only indicted about 60 of them. I'll do a more in-depth story, but that's just what's happening. Big U's got a murder case for Rayshawn Williams. I don't know what his rap name was. You can let us know. And the most interesting of the extortion was the boxer with the initials AB. Maybe that's Adrian Bronner, but I'm not saying it is because I don't know that. Using rigged dice to steal millions from NBA players. Big U getting it back. Oh, and Big U he would get donations for his developing options program, which was an extortion cover. Draymond Green and Shaquille O'Neal sent him some money. He just transferred it. I don't know what people think that there's not a paper trail. He transferred it right into his own bank account. Of course, he has PPP fraud. He's got that too. They're giving everybody they indict is getting PPP fraud. People in prison, the Aryan Brotherhoods just got hit in prison. They got PPP fraud. Everyone is being given PPP fraud. They know all of you. All of you are getting it. I didn't even take the loan I could have. I didn't want my name in the system. I don't want no parts of that. It's not a setup, but I knew better. I didn't want no parts of that PPP money. I probably, well, whatever. But, so it's all been true. I'm sure it's all over LA's YouTube, but you hear it from Al Prophets in the LA Times. You can read the article. I'll do something more in depth, but Big U indicted. Bricc Baby, Luce Cannon are in custody. Big U's in custody. Life charges. Extortion is very serious. It's a mafia charge. Oh, you're extorting celebrities to come to the entertainment capital? The governor probably. Like, this is one of them cases that the governor tells the feds, like, oh, no, this must stop. And it's over in this neighborhood, the last black neighborhood. They're clearing out. It all comes together, but it doesn't mean it's fake. It just, you create, when you're doing criminal stuff and then you get in the limelight and you know, the plots and plans of the political and economic elite of the city are going to trump what a gang's going to do. You know what I mean? So, all right, there it is, Al Prophet, American Dope.